Here's Caleb Williams on how he measures the progress that he's making now that he's in the NFL.
First, I ask questions. I ask questions to coach. I ask about my progression. I ask where he wants me to be, where I should be. And then obviously I have my own goals set for myself. And that's to be perfect. Obviously, you strive for something like that. And you don't ever reach it, but you keep striving for it. Whether it's a day that I like, a day that I don't, there's always good and bad in it. And so, just finding my balance and reaching and striving for my goal. And a big part of it is just sticking to the routine, enjoying the process, enjoying my teammates, being a good teammate, going out there and working my tail off. I didn't come in necessarily with expectation to be and seem like a 13-year vet. I came in to work my tail off, show the guys that I'm here. I'm working my tail off. I'm progressing, and trying not to make the same mistake again. That's the biggest thing, day in and day out, is trying not to make the same mistake over and over and learn from them. And so, I think that's been my biggest, thing for me, and also understand that I'm leading an organization and a team. So, just having that mindset and being in that mind state, and just trying to find my flow.
He was dancing around the edges of the Vince Lombardi quote that perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. That's basically what he was trying to say, and maybe he didn't want to quote Packers legendary head coach. Maybe it has something to do with that long-standing rivalry between Chicago and Green Bay, but regardless, that's what you do. You work and you work and you work. You try to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect, but in the effort to be perfect, you might end up being great. And for him, it's all new. It's all accelerated. He has the right mindset. And he doesn't have a contract either. That's not in any of this sound. But as we see more and more of these incoming players signed, like more than half of them were signed before Memorial Day. It used to be none were signed before 4th of July. And Caleb Williams isn't signed yet. He said it's not an issue. He's there. I called it a mandatory minicamp earlier, and that's what made me first think of it. It's not mandatory for him. He's not under contract, but he's there, as most draft picks are. They don't hold out from off-season workouts, but more teams, I think, are conscious about getting these deals done, so there isn't that awkwardness about being there and working when you're really not employed by the team yet. I'm a little surprised the Bears haven't done it, but I think Caleb Williams knows at the right time it'll be taken care of. He'll get his signing bonus. He'll have his 4-year fully guaranteed contract, and the Bears are going to take care of this guy that they hope becomes their first franchise quarterback, literally since Sid Luckman.
Yeah, it's been a long time for them, Mike. I do have a question for you. So he doesn't have an agent, right? All these deals are slotted. He's going to get around $39.5 million, $25.5 million signing bonus. But what is your concern for a player coming into the NFL? It's a little different, obviously, with the contract being slotted as opposed to getting that second contract. But do you have a concern with a player coming in who doesn't have an agent, as Caleb Williams does not have an agent?
My concern for that player is always prior to the draft, because that's when it gets dirty and nasty and ugly, and the players who have agents have those agents, whether the players realize it or not, out there both trying to boost their client's stock and, in so doing, talk badly about competitors at the same position. I think it's one of the reasons why Lamar Jackson went 32nd overall in 2018. He had no agent to defend him and promote him. When Bill Polian is suggesting he move to a different position, there's no agent to call Bill Polian and chew him out for doing that, or to spread to others in the media who would go out and say what the spin is, what the argument is. It has to be persuasive or no one's going to repeat it, but that's what a good agent does. It enhances the draft status. Didn't need that for Caleb Williams. He's still number one. Nobody was going to say anything that was going to get the Bears to not take Caleb Williams. Now, at this point, there really isn't anything because these contracts negotiate themselves. However, the three things we've seen over the years: the cash flow of the signing bonus. When do I get my money? I'm entitled to it. When do I get it? Do I get it all in 30 days? Do I get it all by next year at this time? That's a big issue. The void language for the guarantees. The Bears had that issue with Roquan Smith 6-7 years ago. Different things can void the guarantee, and that's the out. That's the get out of jail free card if it just doesn't work out. You don't owe the guy the rest of the money. If we decide after 2 or 3 years it just isn't working, you cut him, you don't owe him. And then that issue of whether or not there will be an offset for any lingering guarantee, that's one of the other issues. So those are the three big issues that can be pressure points in these negotiations. And how aware will Caleb Williams or whoever is helping him be about that? I don't know. But you need someone who's going to scour that language that voids your guarantees potentially, because if there's too broad of language in there, the Bears have that silver bullet in the event that they decide after 2 years, this guy just can't play, we need to find a new quarterback. And I hate it when teams hedge. I hate it when they bet that their guy isn't going to work out. And that's why I think the Jaguars and the Rams still do full guarantees without offsets. I know the Jaguars have always done that. We're not going to make a bet that our guy's not going to work out. We're willing to make this commitment. We're willing to pay him for 4 years. This is our guy. This is our future. Let's get to work and let's be positive. And so we'll see what the Bears try to do, but it's going to be a little easier to pull something off. If they're up to something, it's easier to do it when the guy doesn't have an agent.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. And he'll get signed and you know, he'll be their quarterback this year. We'll see what he can do as a rookie. Is he going to be more like Bryce Young? Is he going to be more like CJ Stroud? That's what we're going to find out. And you know, for those who have a concern about, you know, what he did at USC this last season, just consider that his rating of 170.1, obviously college does different rating system than they do in the NFL, but that was the highest of his career. His 9.4 yards per attempt was the highest of his career. So he did do some really good things last year. He still had 30 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. The 8 losses he had at USC, he was 18-8 as a starter at USC. Mike, the 8 losses he had, that defense gave up at least 34 points in all 8 of those games. So they had just, it reminds me of Matthew Stafford at Detroit for most of his career there, how bad that defense was. It's hard to win when your defense is that bad. So he joins a team with a really good defense now. So that is not going to be a problem for them. And I'm not going to call it a problem, but the question now is how good is he going to be to lead that offense to where they need to be to win games? Because it is going to come down to the offense of that team. And despite all the weapons they have, it's still going to come down to how Caleb Williams plays. But he no longer has the defense's really terrible thing anymore hanging over him, and to use as an excuse, it's not there. So it's going to be up to him how good this team is this year.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that's one of the challenges. Again, there are many that go into projecting what a guy who seems to have all of the requisite skills at the college level will be able to do. A general manager told me years ago, for every player who does well in college, there is a ceiling out there between that and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And no one knows where that ceiling is. No one knows when the player is going to encounter a level of resistance or adversity or difficulty that causes him to say, whether he realizes it or not, this is as good as I'm ever going to be. I'm not capable of being better. I'm not interested in doing what I have to do to be better. This is it. And we just don't know. And you're right, for Caleb Williams, you peel away all other factors, all other complications, all other excuses, and now it's time to go. You've got a great defense, and you've got the weapons around you to potentially be something the Bears have never had, a consistently strong offense, ever. 50 years that I've been following the National Football League, and you have been as well, from a somewhat different perspective, loyalist to the Dallas Cowboys. They came across the Bears from time to time, but short of that, was it 44-0 when the Bears rolled into Texas Stadium in 1985, and it was a changing of the guard from the Cowboys to the Bears? Other than that year, and that was all defense, other than that year, the Bears were never truly dominant. Yeah, they got to a Super Bowl one year. I'm still not quite sure how they pulled that off, but it's never been high-flying offense. It's never been greatest show on turf. It's never been pinball machine scoreboard. It's never been that way. And they're finally moving in that direction with Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, who they targeted, boom, right out of the gates. They did one of those, man, that's amazing to negotiate a multi-million-dollar contract in only 10 minutes when you're not allowed to talk to the guy beforehand. That's an impressive feat of negotiating skill and speed. wink, wink, nod, nod, tampering, tampering, tampering. As long as the guy doesn't admit to it at the introductory press conference, we'll be okay. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.